So I'm here today with Scott Ford. Welcome, Scott,
Thank you.
from Pronesis Technology Group, and he is the Director of Operations at Pronesis. And he's also got a very deep background in IT and technology, and even with the board of directors as Director of Operations for the Tampa Bay Technology Leadership Association. So
Yeah,
Scott, I'd love it if you'd kick us off and just tell us a little bit about how did you even get started in technology, and how did you get to being the Director of Operations at Pronesis?
sure. So I got started in technology the way a lot of people do, just as a regular user. I was on computers and the internet and using different software and things like that. And I just had a natural interest for it. It made sense to me. I enjoyed it. And I knew that IT and technology as an industry was not going to be slowing down anytime soon. If anything, the demand was just going to continue to grow. And I knew that from a business to business perspective, every business out there, every company out there uses computers in some form or another. And the demand would always be there. And I knew it was growing. So that was something that I decided to get into. And as far as how I ended up being in the position that I'm at, I started out again, like most people, from a technological perspective, from a technical perspective, and doing the engineer type roles and the troubleshooting and the building and the consulting and things like that, which then allowed me to get into more of a role where I was doing consulting. Once you have that foundational knowledge of how the networks work and servers and switches and firewalls and how that all comes together, then you can start doing the analysis and make recommendations to clients and businesses on how they can improve their networks. And that just created a path for me to move into a Director of Operations role here with Pronesis Technology Group.
All right, great. So what type of customers or small businesses would you consider to be your ideal clients?
So you touched on a key point there. The SMB market is the market that we focus on the most. We enjoy being a part of the community in the Tampa Bay area. And it really doesn't matter to us what industry the client is in. We don't focus on a vertical. So whether the client is in healthcare or manufacturing or a CPA, we can help those companies. Again, if you have computers, servers, a network, then we can support that for you. So those are our clients.
Yeah, that's great. And you brought up a couple of points in just in regards to everybody uses technology, and small businesses, especially now, just with everything that's going on around us in the world today, need cybersecurity. They need IT support, more so now than ever. And if you can just look at what's going on with what you see in the news with cybersecurity attacks and the increase in threats and breaches, large companies as well, really big companies, as well as healthcare companies are getting hit pretty big.
Absolutely.
Too, or pretty hard. So let's talk a little bit about the cybersecurity piece. And since it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, let's talk about cybersecurity awareness training, because a lot of times you hear that the biggest threat is the human part, right? And you hear this term called the human firewall. So let's talk a little bit about what is cybersecurity awareness training. Can you explain a little bit of that, for small businesses?
Absolutely. So cybersecurity awareness training, in a very simplified answer, is exactly what it sounds like. It is training for the end users to build awareness in cybersecurity topics. So this type of training is not geared toward network administrators, the security administrators, the IT professionals. This is geared toward the everyday average user that puts hands on a computer for the work that they do. And the training is not trying to make experts out of the end users. The topics are not going into really in-depth topics, not teaching you how to convert to binary or anything like that. It's building awareness and education so that when users come across phishing attempts and whaling attempts and all the other catchy names that are out there now for every different attack vector that there is, they can recognize those, and instead of clicking on something or getting an infection or putting themselves or the business that they work for in unsafe predicament, they can recognize those things and avoid those pitfalls.
Mm-hmm. What about size? So what if I only have 2 employees? I mean, is it important for me to do cybersecurity awareness training for 2 employees?
Really, size does not matter when it comes to cybersecurity. And sometimes business owners think that it does. There's plenty of times where a business owner thinks that because they're small, they're not a target. And that's just not true. Hackers nowadays are looking at SMBs because they know that the small businesses are not spending the same amount of money on cybersecurity and safety precautions that a larger organization is. Small businesses generally don't have a $4 million budget a year just for security. So the hackers are learning that a lot of times there are more holes and vulnerabilities in a small and medium-sized business, and it can be easier to get into. Also, I've heard some business owners say, well, you know, the data that we have is not that important. You know, nobody cares about what's on our server. And what I explain to them is, it doesn't have to be important to the hacker. It just has to be important to you. If it's important to you, then the hacker is still going to put ransomware on the server. It's still going to be encrypted, and they're going to hope that you pay that ransom to unlock it. So yeah, it's true that hackers don't care how many hot dogs you sold last month, but if you're a hot dog supplier, you care about how many hot dogs you sold last month. So size and the type of data that you have really doesn't matter. Everyone needs to be secure.
Yeah, I love that. I love that explanation in terms of it matters about that information matters because you care about it, and it's about your business and your business operations and being able to continue to function.
Absolutely.
Love that point. Actually, I'm not sure if I ever thought of it that way, so thank you for that.
Sure.
How about the work from home model now? So many people still working from home, and now we have this hybrid model where we're going back and forth.
Yeah.
How has that impacted small businesses? Because I think they've been highly impacted, right? So what's changed for them?
Yeah, it is difficult to create a cybersecurity safety net when a lot of the users are working from home, because when they're in the office, or the majority of them are in the office, we've always had remote workers to some degree, but for most companies, most employees have been in the office, and so you can control things a little easier with the firewall that you have in place, and you know, maybe you have DNS redirection and things like that. But when users are using a laptop, let's say a company laptop from home, chances are they don't have the type of firewall in their home that the business has on the network. Or worse yet, if the user at the office doesn't have a laptop and they only have a desktop, and they decided to not bring the desktop home, and they're just using their personal computer at the house, then that computer is not joined to the domain. It's not getting security policies passed down to it. Probably doesn't have the same antivirus on their home computer as the computers that are in the network for the company. So it's much different when you're supporting a remote workforce, and there are a lot more things to take into consideration, a lot more holes that are there. And at this point, most MSPs and security companies are kind of playing catch up with this because everything happens so quickly on such a large scale. It wasn't anything that they could slowly wade into the water with. It just happened instantly, and now they've got a lot of endpoints that are outside the network and yet still accessing the same type of information. And now you've got to wonder if someone contracts a virus or something like that on their home PC, and then they VPN into the network, and now that could potentially spread to the network. So you've got to hope that your border protection is controlling that and preventing issues from occurring.
So how does that impact then the cybersecurity awareness and prevention training? So what do companies have to do if it is even different? What do they have to do differently for their work from home teams versus their in-office teams? Is there any change?
I think there's a change in the sense of urgency. So there might be companies that maybe always knew that they should have a cybersecurity awareness program and have just never gotten around to implementing it. But now they really need to get on the ball with that. They really need to start pushing that out, because now it's more important than ever. Because now with people working remotely, instead of trusting your network and the tools and the applications and all the platforms that you've invested in, instead of trusting in those to do your job for you, now you're trusting your employees to make the correct decisions and not get infected. In terms of the type of training, I don't think it changes very much, because the same rules apply. Look before you click, investigate things before you just proceed forward. If someone sends you an email that says, hey, wire me X amount of dollars, you need to pick up the phone and confirm that that really came from your boss, whether you're sitting at your desk or whether you're sitting on your couch. Those rules still apply. So I don't think it changes the awareness training too much, but it definitely changes the sense of urgency and the frequency that the training should be done.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great segue into my next question regarding timing. But I'll share a quick story first, just to back up your point about look before you click. Don't click. One of my employees emailed me, and Shannon actually ended up calling me. She's like, why do you want me to get all of these AMX cards and scratch off the back of them and take a screenshot of them and send them to you? I'm like, I didn't ask you to do that. So she was I said, you're getting fished. Don't do what whoever is. It's like, well, it's coming from you. I'm like, no, that's not coming from me.
Man, she did the right thing by calling you. Good job for her. Well done.
I know. Yeah. So that's a classic one, right? Like, hey, go buy me some cards, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to be, especially, here we are getting close to Christmas season, and that's a big one. Hey, we're going to be sending out gift cards to all of our clients. I need you to go buy 200 cards and tell me what they are. And man, if you just had a conversation last week with your boss about, gifts for your customers, that's an easy one to fall for,
It is.
So yeah, pick up the phone, call, confirm, make sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great, 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 great advice. Yeah, and of course, we work with cybersecurity and IT companies all day long, so we talk about these things very openly. So when we catch things, we kind of like, oh, this guy tried to, do a phishing on us today. Like, look how, crazy this one is, right? So
Yep.
I
Yep.
think, in my opinion, I would love to have you weigh in on this as well. I think if you have those open conversations and just talk about it, it just keeps it in like the forefront and makes people think about it. And I mean, I don't want to say that we now joke about it, but it's like, oh, hey, I caught this today,
Yes. Absolutely. You are so correct. That's so key. In that when we're talking about it and we're recognizing it, then you're right. It's on the front burner.
Yep.
And when people see it, then it becomes an immediate response, and they know that it's nothing for them to act on, and that prevents a lot of problems,
Yep.
just by being aware of it and knowing what's going on. And you're absolutely right. That comes from there being constant discussions and talking about it. That's such a big help, because it doesn't just get lost in the fuzziness of the day.
Yep.
So that's very important.
Well, that and kind of going back to that frequency piece, right? So cybersecurity awareness training, is it a one-time thing that I do during Cybersecurity Awareness Month, or so how much training do I do?
Yeah, the amount of training that each company should do is really going to be based on their threshold of acceptance level. And I can definitely tell you it needs to be more frequent than just once a year, for them to check off a box.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be that. As a technology professional, I'd love to say, hey, everyone should do something, for an hour a day every day, but that's not feasible, right? So you've got to find that balance, and maybe you do it quarterly, maybe you do it monthly, maybe you break it up into something a little more palatable. There's a couple different ways of approaching it. You can have manual type trainings and awareness sessions where it's like a lunch and learn or a workshop or something like that. Or you can go an automated route where you subscribe to a service or a system that sends out different trainings on a regular interval. So it doesn't have to be something huge necessarily. Maybe you just do a workshop or lunch and learn, once or twice a year, and then in between times you send out a 5 to 6 minute video to all the employees that they have to watch, and that's your training for the month. But something so that there is regular, constant thought, constant communication about it. Because going back to your previous statement, when users are thinking about it and talking about it, then when they do get an actual phishing attempt or something like that, it makes it easier for them to spot it. If you're only doing something once a year, then 1 month a year, it'll be effective, and the other 11 months, they're just going to be susceptible because they're not really thinking about it.
Yep, that's excellent, excellent. So I'm a small business and I don't do cybersecurity awareness training today, but I really want to get it started. So what would I do? Like, what's my step on getting started? Where do I go?
In terms of getting started on a cybersecurity awareness program, the good news is the industry and the field is really advancing. A lot of producers are coming out with products and solutions that will help with that. There's all kinds of information online that can help you put together a tailored awareness training program. But what I would recommend your first step be is talk to your IT company, because chances are they have vetted solutions, and they know what works and doesn't work. They know what would be within budget for their clients, which, let's face it, that's important, right? Most small and medium-sized businesses don't have unlimited budgets to throw at something like this. So you want to find something that will fit your needs, but be within your budget, because if everything is outpriced, then the business owner doesn't do it, and now we're back to square one. So talk to the IT company that you use, and just start that discussion with them, and they'll ask some questions about what the end result is that you want and what the frequency level is that you're willing to do, and they can come up with some pretty creative solutions for you, and probably even mix together 2 or 3 different approaches to the cybersecurity awareness training program, so that you get a little blend of everything that will make sense for your business and your employees.
Yep, great advice.
Hmm.
So what, just in terms of one piece of advice you would give to small to medium-sized businesses around cybersecurity awareness training and just protecting their business, and how to keep hackers out, or how to keep, how to stay away from cyber criminals? Like, what's your one piece of advice?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to cheat a little here, and I'm going to give you 2 pieces of advice. First, and this might seem really obvious, but first is take it seriously. There's so many small, medium-sized businesses out there that think it's not going to happen to them. It's not something that they have to worry about. So number one, please take it seriously. Look into the options and see what's out there for you. Number 2, this is a real easy one to do, is look before you click. I know we get in the middle of the day and things are flying fast and furious, and your fingers are all over the keyboard and the hands all over the mouse. And when you get to that link, just stop for just a breath and look at where the link is actually going. Mm-hmm. Look at who actually sent you the email. Pick up a phone and confirm if they're asking you to do something. Look before you click, and that will save a lot of heartache for a lot of people.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for that. So you have given us great tips, great advice, from how to get started, how much training we need, and look before you click. So
absolutely.
I'm taking that away. Look before you click.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Scott. It's great to have you and be able to lean on you for cybersecurity awareness training advice, as well as knowing that Pronesis Technology Group is out there as a resource. Now, just to wrap it up, are you just specific to the Florida area or other areas?
We focus primarily in the Tampa Bay area and Central Florida area. We are able to support businesses outside that area. Sometimes we have clients who are headquartered here, but then they have branch offices in all different types of states. So we even work with a company that's in California. So, making the time difference work is is a trick sometimes, but yeah, we can do it. We can support that, and there's so many tools nowadays where we can do remote support, and we even have a partner network where if we have to send someone on site in those remote locations, we can do that as well. We've got a great partner network. So yes, primarily in the Tampa Bay area, but if you have offices outside that geographic location, we can help you with that too, for sure.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. That's great. So how would I get a hold of you, or how would a business get a hold of you if they wanted to find and talk to somebody at your organization?
Sure. Of course, we've got our website, which is pronesisgrp.com. or you can reach us by phone, 813-661-2966, and we'll be more than happy to speak with anyone.
Right. Well, great. Again, thank you, Scott. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Definitely.
And thank you for the cybersecurity awareness training tips.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it, and really enjoy being here.
Thanks.
All right.